Hey, come catch this wave with the Fixx squad. The Fixx is in. I'm Mr. Soul, I'm tuning in. What you doing?
Stand up. James left, but the king still reigns here. No tears, no love lost, no rain here. Delivers, I promise, Santa rain here. Love for the city still resides here. Fix for your ailment, faith that resides outside the lines. Detox your mind, cause it matters. Art outside the box, we pace better. The Fixx is in, and we rock a channel. We rock with them for what's deep within. Expose those who talk but don't live. Expose those who talk but don't live. Take offense. Judge by the fruit from the tree, but is the fruit.
Welcome back, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. You tap back into the Fixx, your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. Y'all know what time it is. It's tapped in for that spiritual detox. And when I tell y'all we got a special one today, we've been waiting on this one for a while. We talk about, our little subgenre of CHH. And, we have our little Mount Rushmores, Dice, that we talk about all the time. And let's be very clear. This man's name comes up a lot because, so we're going to talk about it within the interview, but we talk about how we could put 4 artists on the CHH side against 4 mainstream artists. And I would say 5 to 6 years ago, I didn't feel that confident. But in 2023, I put money up on it.
Wow.
If we just going on rapping, if we just going on lyrics, like if we just doing that, come on, let's go. Yeah. And this is one who I would put out in front, like real quick. Like, Dilly, go ahead, take care of that light work, man. Let's go get some Dilly Bears afterwards. Without further ado, to help me welcome in, the founder of Indie Tribe, our brother, No Big Deal. What's going on?
Man, thank y'all for having me, bro. And thank you for the kind words, for real, bro. That's amazing.
No, you've been doing it for a long time, Deal. Let's be very clear. You've been like our little silent little secret. I would argue the last 2 to 3 years, like you've been getting your props. But listen, I can go way back to the mixtapes and everything you were doing. You've been rapping at a high level for a while, so I got to give you your roses while you still living. Sonically, you're good. Production-wise, like you know how to write a beat. You have different cadences. You sing, you rap, you do whatever you want to do. So it's like, So everybody can't say that in this genre. Everybody can't say that. So we appreciate you for all the body of work that you've done, and we're excited to talk to you. So Dice, let's get into it. First, Dilly, first, how did you come up with the name No Big Deal? Because you are a big deal to us. So how did you come up with that name?
Yeah, man. So I really wanted to, like, even in my stage name, I wanted to convey that what I'm doing is not ultimately for myself. I'm not trying to build a kingdom for myself. And so I wanted to convey humility even within my name and the stylization of my name. So my name is Dylan. So Dill, no big deal, all lowercase with a period. Even the stylization of the name, when it's stylized correctly, which is rare, but when it's stylized correctly, it's even kind of testifying to there's a bigger story. There's somebody greater than me that I'm representing, that has given me these talents and this creativity, and who I want to reflect through music and narrative and all the things that we do.
I'm just trying to figure out why you're so cool. Who in your family did you get that from? Like, it is so funny because I always joke with Focus. I'm like, I need a dilly bear, like, I feel like you should have your own teddy bear because we love you that. I mean, like, the genre loves you that much. I don't know if people in your family love you that much, but I was I just want to hug him, like, and no disrespect to your wife. I'm just like, yes, you're talented. I mean, in every single way, from writing and producing and all that. But I'll be honest with you, Focus, and no shade to you, Focus. He's always been on my Mount Rushmore. So the point is, you have a quality that a lot of other rappers don't have, and that's a likability. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in listening to Go with the Ghost, I'm like, I hear you with your testimony, and I hear you saying things, but I'm like, it's hard to imagine that you were doing something and you weren't fully in it. It's hard to imagine that you had to check yourself. It's like you don't come across like that. So I really appreciate Go with the Ghost, because I'm like, nah, he talking right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to share his testimony. Can you talk? I know we're jumping forward to the music, but can you talk a little bit about that particular song? Because that is my favorite right now. That's the one I just got to repeat.
That's my favorite right now too. Yeah, go with the ghost. I like a lot of the things you said. It's funny with the teddy bear thing. You know, a fan just handmade a Pop Funko, like a little character of me, and that's like that. I was super honored by that. But yeah, so you know, I identify with what you're saying, like about it's hard to imagine, like as I kind of like recollect and go back through my life, the like sinful decisions that I've made, like the dark choices that I've made. You know, even at the time, it's not like if you talk to people from that period of my life, they're not going to describe like this crazy evil dude. Like they're going to describe me like pretty much the same as how I am now. But I think that even testifies more to how deceitful our hearts can be, and what scripture says about like kind of like our outward appearance being deceitful, and even like flattery even being kind of like a backdoor to sin. And anyway, all that to say that it's like when you kind of like are being vulnerable through lyrics and being honest and trying to display your testimony and your sinful moments and your confession and your redemption through how God sees sin, it sounds more intense than we're typically used to discussing it. Because as humans, since we're all humans, since we're all flawed, since we all sin, we kind of downplay our shortcomings, even calling them shortcomings. You know what I mean? We kind of downplay it to each other. But the thing is, since God is holy and he's perfect and everything that is good comes from him and he is all that is good, anytime we say no to him, whether it's a little white lie, whatever it is, any no to the ultimate good is like a tragedy. Like it's a very heavy transgression. So I think what I'm trying to do in this song is bring our sinfulness and God's holiness and his mercy and his will to the forefront by really depicting things how they are and not necessarily how we present them to each other. You know what I mean? So yeah, even at the time, it's not like I was just a maniac. Like most people would be like, nah, he's always been a good dude. But I'm like, I'm trying to tell the truth about it. You know what I'm saying? Good. So
man, that's really good.
No, that's good.
You sharing that.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you sharing that. Where does that boldness come from? Because, you know, I feel like in all your tracks, you know, you kind of, you know, my favorite is Sleeping right now. And, you know, you really dive in and go into, you know, transparency of just different things you're struggling with and just realizing that, you know, you try to point people back to the Father. Where does that boldness come from? Because a lot of CHH artists are not doing it on that level.
Yeah, man, I think that any true artist is going to make music for people who are like them, and try to connect with basically who they were when they were younger, or when they were going through stuff, what they wish they had when they were young. So I think that my boldness comes from, I wish people had been that transparent with me about life, about the faith, about relationships, really just about anything. Like, I think there's so many like we just play so many social norm games, and like we don't just say things how they are. And I really needed that when I was coming up. I think a lot of the things that I did end up doing was because people kind of danced around subjects and didn't just tell me how it was. So I needed that. I want to provide that. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of where that boldness comes from. It's just like the key to helping other people not go through the same exact things you went through is being vulnerable and being brave enough to show them your scars so that they don't have to go through the same thing, you know?
It's good, man. Can't believe we got no video on here. Can't believe this. I don't know, folks. This might be in my top 5 interviews now. And that's up there with CC Winans. I'll be honest with you.
I got her on right now.
You got her on?
I got her on right now.
Is she?
That's just respect,
bro.
That's just respect. Like everybody knows she's an angel of gospel. She's the angel of gospel.
She's the angel.
That's right.
CC can do no wrong.
Right. I'm repping her right now.
That's Gabriel in disguise. Bro, we just saw her at the Stellars, man. And she's definitely an icon. She's definitely somebody that we look up to. Obviously, with you over there rocking her gear, she's somebody that you look up to. Who are some of the people? Let me ask you that. Who are some of the people that have inspired you? And they don't have to be in Christian hip hop, but just people that you're like, man, their walk is just something that I'm like, nah, this is it right here. This is it.
Yeah. So, you mentioned my family earlier, and I have a very, very supportive family. They've always supported like everything that I was doing artistically. I come from a kind of a artsy family, a musical family. So my uncle is a Grammy Award winning drummer. He's played in multiple different genres and stuff like that, but he's who got me into music. I kind of grew up going to watch him play at jazz clubs, and there'd be like spoken word poets there too. So just kind of being surrounded by the music and the lyricism, that's kind of what like got me into it. So my uncle, Derek Phillips, he's somebody that like I very much admire. That was like the first person in the industry that I really admired. And he was the one who gave me like Christian hip hop CDs when I was really young. Okay. He gave me House of Representatives by Cross Movement. I had to be like, I don't even know, like 8 or 9 or something. And he gave that to me. And then he gave me Christology by Ambassador, and then he gave me After the Music Stops, Lecrae. And so he got me into it. And so I really, from a young age, I was looking up to those dudes. Like I was a kid in the crowd at, Craig concerts when, Craig had like, 200 people in the crowd, and I was super young, but they were taking me to those things. You know what I mean? So, and my dad took me to Kirk Franklin concert when I was that was like one of my first concerts, and he got us these good seats, and Kirk came through the crowd and like shook my hand and stuff. And so those were like the kind of early moments that really got me into it. And that's who I was those are the kind of the guys that I was looking up to,
That's huge, Dice. Listen, Dice, every time we get these interviews and people bring up these CHH artists and how that was their life, my father was taking me to Public Enemy and NWA concerts. So I pray for me, man. Pray for me, man. Yeah, I wouldn't. No, he wouldn't take me to the Luke concerts, but Public Enemy and NWA and Eric B and Rakim, yeah, them I never experienced any of the 80s and 90s, CHH artists. So I don't have that experience. I didn't go to Kirk Franklin. I didn't see Kirk Franklin until I was grown. I was grown when I seen Kirk Franklin. So I appreciate you sharing that. Okay. Listen, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble, we got to go to a quick break. We got No Big Deal in the building with us. Don't touch that dial. We got the festival. We got to talk about a lot more. Keep it locked. You tuned into the Fixx.
And the Fixx is in.
Culture Radio. We're not just background noise. We play the music that inspires you, because every song has a story. Christian hip hop and R&B music and talk on Siriusxm channel 154, 24 hours a day. Holy Culture Radio is changing the game. Discussions about faith, arts, vocation, and education. We talk about the real issues that affect our communities and work together to find solutions. Join the discussion at holyculture.net and be heard.
Welcome back. DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. You tap back into the Fixx, your source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. Still got No Big Deal on the line with us. So come on, let's talk about a deal. I know I can have this conversation with you. Hip-hop turns 50 this year. I know you talked about some of your Christian hip-hop and your gospel inspirations who inspired you. But come on, talk about where do you think the state and the culture of hip-hop altogether is in 50 years? How do you see it?
Yeah, so I really am a hip hop head. Like, as much as I grew up on like the Christian rap and the gospel, I also grew up on straight up hip hop. That was mainly my dad introducing me to that. But yeah, man, I think I really think that any type of rap that you are into, or whatever type of skill set you're looking for, whatever type of more, if you're more lyrical, more vibes, whatever, I think it's out there now. I think a lot of people are like disappointed in the way that rap went, or like they're like, oh, this is different than the golden era. But it's like, nah, all of it exists. You just got to find it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no more gatekeepers. So you might be talking about in the 90s, okay, these lyricists were the top people, So you didn't have to necessarily look for it. But those same type of lyricists, like, and even improved upon that, they exist. You just got to find them. They might not be the top dudes on the radio. So I personally love the state that hip hop is in, because I think it's the most creative and taking the most risks. And there's the most wide variety of styles that there has ever been.
What about the state of Christian hip hop?
I think it's largely the same. I think there's like more creativity than ever. I think that if you are a like lyrical theology type person, those people exist. You know, if you are a more like kind of how grits used to be, you know what I mean? Just more life music, you know, from the perspective of believers, which, you know, I think that I fit into that. I think there's a wide variety of that. And then if you're just looking for some like clean music that's coming from believers that's more vibe oriented, I think there's that. There's very musical people in our space right now. So again, man, I know a lot of people like to be negative about it, but I'm just like, I think that's on you for not finding what you like. You know what I mean?
No, that's good. No, I'm glad he brought that up, because we do hear the negative feedback saying CHH is dead. Nobody is giving us the Jesus bars that we deserve. But I love that you broke it down within 3 categories, and we have a little bit of anything and everything for everybody over here. You just have to find what you like. I like that approach. I like that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you got Jay Monty. Like if you want to get straight to it, then you got, you know what I mean? You got Jay Monty. Like, and also I don't know why everybody acts like the people who've been doing Christian hip hop are dead, bro. They still here. Like if you want to listen to Trip, he's still going crazy. If you want to listen to Derek, he's still going crazy. Craig, Tadashi, like everybody is still going crazy. Like, so just listen to them if that's what you want. You know what I mean? Like,
what is that? Yeah. What do you really think that is? And it's obviously focused on we know that that's not true, because we can't even check our email enough, and then we can't even play enough music on the show, and it's fire. Like all the music is fire. Like we even have a music review on Friday just because we can't play enough music. But what do you think that little weirdness? What is that? You know,
I think some of it is, if we zoom out, some of it's just human nature. Like it doesn't have to be that serious where it's like, you know, why are Christians doing this? It's just people. Like if even in hip hop, like, you know, in mainstream hip hop, old heads doing the same thing. It's not always just old heads, but it's just easy to say. Like old heads, they're like, oh, this music nowadays it ain't like how it used to be. Rock and roll, it don't matter. You could do any genre, you could do any discipline of art. It's just human nature. So some of it, I'm just like, I don't even take that serious. I'm just like, I guess that's just a part of, you know.
Yeah,
being a human, you know. So
it's still a weirdness about it. So I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement. I'm sorry, you ain't Dylan. You ain't got to say it. We'll say it. We say it all the time. It's a weirdness about it, because I think
this age. They try to put a date. Like this is the only genre that you try to put an age on. Like no other genre, like you were saying, R&B, gospel, hip hop, or you know, just anything, jazz, like rock, country. Nobody else gets like a age cap. Like, you know, okay, you got, you know
what do you mean, an age gap?
Yeah, I mean, they could come back at 75. You could do a country album. Reba McEntire could do something, and then it's like taking over the world, and it's sold more than Taylor Swift. So it's like, you know, same thing with rock, pop. Escape could come back now, and the concerts.
So I'll be honest with you. I know some of y'all's listeners gonna be mad at me, but look, I believe that the Spirit and Jesus is with me wherever, and I can take the meat and spit out the bones, but. Last night I was at the Erykah Badu concert in Nashville. Yeah. And to your point, she did this thing where she asked people from each decade to make noise in the, like when they were born, to make noise in the crowd. And she started in the 50s and went all the way through the 2000s. So this is to your point, Dice, like she just filled an arena with people who were born in the 50s and people who were born after 2000. Like it's timeless music, and it's like the young people aren't like, Erykah's for old people, you know what I mean, and whatever. And really, I to be honest though, I really went to that concert because Toby Wigway was opening up, but also people from the 50s, like you know what I'm saying, like she had like 60 something year olds in there, you know, so Yeah, I think that we should have a more long-term mindset. I think we should honor, bro. People act like Trip. Does everybody know that Trip is like 34 years old? Like
No.
they act like he, like, because he started when he was really young. He started when he was like 16. Yeah. So I'm like, bro, these are all young dudes. Everybody is still young, like, and doing it at a high level. Like, yeah, I just think people want to talk on the internet sometimes. They just want to hear themselves talk. It's like,
there we go. Yeah, we
settle down.
Yeah, settle down.
Yeah, please settle down. And we talk about timeless music. I'm glad you brought that up. I think we need to focus on making hit records and timeless music. Then we wouldn't have to worry about a lot of these conversations. A lot of these people who got these opinions ain't even making good music like what you're doing. So yeah,
not at all.
That's a whole nother conversation. No, seriously. Yeah, you look at their catalog, you like, why are you talking again? I'm trying to understand why. Do you think you have a merit?
Some of it might be like, I need something to blame why I'm not popping on.
Why
so I'm gonna blame it on. I'm gonna blame it on they're not lyrical enough or whatever.
No. Everybody knows Erykah Badu has timeless music, Lifetime, Bag Lady. Like you can say the hits. They came out in '90s. They still bang right now. I'm a DJ. I don't just DJ Christian events. I DJ whatever. Let's be very clear. And I still get requests for Erykah Badu.
That's right. Yeah. Talk about it.
Come on, talk about this music you got, man. You've been dropping, man, singles, man, the last 6 weeks. I know you got Lighter Fluid, you got Art of War. Come on, talk about some more of this music.
Crazy.
Yeah. I've just been trying to be really consistent. You know, the industry has changed, where albums are still very important. They're like what connects your fans to you long term. You know, we talk about timeless music. You still need, like, people who don't think you need albums. It's very rare that an artist can just not have albums and still have a dedicated fan base. So you need those, but you also need to be more consistent with your drops. And that's where like my single release, like run this year has come from. But also this is actually a really cool thing that I like about this era of music is that before, you know, you make an album and some of those songs are like on the back half of your album. They don't really get that much shine. But now a song like Go With The Ghost, especially if you were an artist on a label, that's going to be on the back half of your album, right? But now you can put it out as a single. You could do music video. You could build this whole world around it, and it can perform like a single. And now a lot of people hear that side of you instead of just the people who bought your album and listened all the way through to it. So that's something that I'm really excited about, is to put some of these more creative, more musical records out by themselves. So that they get the proper shine, you know, in the proper context.
How do you make music? This is a question Focus usually asks, and sometimes it really wears me out. But I'll be real with you. After you put out Go With The Ghost, I was like, now I want to ask.
Yeah.
Your creativity. Like, what are you even thinking when you make a song like Go With The Ghost? Because earlier today, you know, I had Alexa playing it, and I was like, I could see people in like 2050 on skateboards, like making jokes, but like floating through the door, like mimicking, like repeating what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I was like, did you intentionally make this track, or like, how did this one even come about? Because it's beyond, it's super creative and it's never been done before. Nobody has a song that sounds like this at all. And even on my worst day, I can hit play and it just mellows me out, whether it's the words or whether it's the music. So like, how do you come about making a song like that?
I appreciate that. Yeah. I think there's a musicality that, is kind of just like in my blood from my family, that a lot of people don't think that us as rappers, as hip hop artists are musical people. They think it's just like, oh, y'all are just talking whatever. But it's like, I think about it musically, like the way that I choose my flows, my melodies, the way that I interact with the beat is a lot like how my uncle interacts with musicians. You know what I mean? I've seen him, and it's the same type of process, to where like, if I get the production or I get part of the production and I'm playing it out loud in my studio, then it's much more like a musician trying to come up with a guitar riff or come up with a piano riff than people think. You know, it's like, it's a lot of just vocalizing out loud, like trying to find the melody, trying to find the rhythm. You know, you're freestyling and mumbling and you're getting, and you're like internalizing, especially if you're a believer, then I believe God is in the room with you and he's bringing ideas to my mind as I'm listening to the music, So I'm not the type of artist to have a notebook full of ideas and then I get the production. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use idea number 35. I let the music kind of spark everything off. And then it really it comes out. One thing I tell like all like younger artists and newer artists is like, to really have something to talk about, you have to actually live life. You have to have deep conversations. You have to build yourself as a person, build your personal relationships, and build your personal faith. And then that's what's going to come out, whatever's in your heart is going to come out. So yeah, again, I'm not like, okay, I'm going to talk about this on this next song. Okay, let's find a beat for it. I'm just like, put the beat on and invite God into the session, tell him that his will is what I'm trying to accomplish. And he has full reign to edit, to scrap, to encourage, whatever it is that I'm writing. And then I just let it go,
Holy Spirit, have your way.
Yeah.
Just say, Holy Spirit, have your way. Let me get out the way. That's amazing. Listen, I don't think we've ever got a response back like that, Dice. That's the first time we've heard it on that level. So I appreciate you sharing that deal.
Yeah.
Listen, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble, we got to go to a quick break. We coming back. I promise you, we go close out with Dilly in a minute. Keep it locked. You tune into the Fixx.
And the Fixx is in.
Welcome back, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. You tap back into the Fixx, your source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. Listen, we still got Dilly O'Delay with us. And it's time to get real in these streets. It's time for our Real Talk conversation, Dice. So we don't do this too often. This is exclusive. I promise y'all. Y'all know we are very particular about who we bring into our Real Talk conversations. But I thought it would be a great roundtable conversation since Dilly's always talking about this. Let's talk about egos. Egos amongst people of faith. And maybe a little arrogance too as well. Let's talk about arrogance and egos, because I think sometimes come on. So even us, Dice, we had to shouts out to the Stellars and the Bear Tag Entertainment. We got a chance to be a part of the Stellars experience and play in the celebrity game. But I was the whole time we were promoting, I'm like, Dice, I got to kind of talk myself down. I'm starting to feel myself a little bit too much. I don't think God would be pleased with some of this trash talk. So I had to make sure I balanced it. So I think this is a good conversation just to talk about egos and arrogance and how do we do that, especially, and I want to hear from you first, Dilly. You being an artist, let's be very clear. I'm not saying you toot your horn, but you good. Like at some point, like I have this gift. I'm very good at it. How do you keep yourself humble in the process of making all this music, getting all the DMs, hugging people after events where you don't get the big head too much to where it goes into you feel yourself or you're arrogant about how you present yourself in public and also in your music?
Yeah, I think actually a lot of people get this backwards, but I think a key to humility is fully understanding and embracing the gifts that you've been given. Like a lot of people are fake humble in that they're like, somebody's like, oh man, you're an amazing artist. The music that you made is amazing. It's impacted me this way. And a person's like, oh nah, man, nah, it's not that big a deal or whatever. Bro, you're actually devaluing like how much God gave you in that way. You know what I'm saying? So the key is to balance it, is to like be fully convinced like God is doing something amazing through me and for me. But that's it too. It's like God is doing this. You know what I mean? God gave this gift. God is accomplishing part of his story through my artwork and what I'm doing. So that gives you the humility and the awe and the respect. That's what the Bible calls fear, is being in awe and being and having the utmost respect and being humble. And I think a key to that is to realize the good gifts he's given, because they point to how great and how big and how vast and how amazing he is. If I can create something like Go With the Ghost, and Go With the Ghost is one song like that people listen to in one country at one point in time on one planet in the universe and God created all of that, then by accepting how great that is, I can be like, if that's that great and that's just a grain of sand to everything that's going on, how great then is God? So I think it's always giving it back to him. And when you run into trouble is when you stop it at how great the gift is, and you forget it's a gift and you forget the giver. That's when it's just ego, because then you're like, I'm the genesis of this, like, instead of God being the genesis of it, you know.
Have you always had that type of awareness, or did that come with time, or maybe somebody actually, you know, pointing that out to you? Did you, like, had you ever thought, like, I'm so great?
Let's get it clear. I struggle with that, like, very frequently. Like, what I just said is what I preach to myself, you know what I mean? And like, so I mean, you know, especially hip hop it's like basketball, you know, it's a competitive sport. It's really, I imagine it's like being a high level athlete and being a Christian. I bet, I think the parallels are like there. Like, how do I keep myself humble when my stats are crazy right now? You know what I mean? Like how do I keep myself humble? And much like the athletes who stay solid, it's about giving the glory to God. You know what I mean? When you're able to verbally do that, even like I said, I try to permeate even with my name, like everything. We try to make sure that people know. But yeah, I think you do that by displaying how great he is. I think he did that in the Old Testament with David, with a lot of his people, like the temple itself. Like, the temple is not God, right? We know that the temple it's not even a human. It doesn't even have the image of God in it, but he wanted the temple to be beautiful, and he had very specific ways that it needed to reflect his glory so that it would point to him. And now he says that we are his temple. So if the temple itself has got like diamonds and sapphire and all these things, and it's just stones, you know what I mean, to make much of God, and now we are the temple, it's like, okay, I think if we keep everything where it's supposed to be, then we can acknowledge that I'm a very excellent rapper, and then give the glory to God for that. You know what I'm saying?
That's good. Talk a little bit about your accountability circle, because I think you said some key things. One, absolutely, you know that you're good, so I know it has to be a great accountability circle that keeps you kind of like humble in case you do get a little too cocky. Speak to that. Then also too as well, speak to your spiritual regimen, because I love the fact that you said, yes, to keep myself humble, I have to make sure I keep him in mind and understand that the gift comes from him, all his blessings. If he takes his hand off of it, it don't matter how good I am. So speak to those two things real quick.
Yeah. I mean, number one, it can't be overstated. Like, having a spouse that was with you before music, like, that's
before you was a whip.
That's a cheat code right there, because that, like, at the same time that they're supportive and proud and all that, like, they know who you are. Like, you're not like, you know what I mean? So that's one thing. But man, I can confidently say we are very tapped into our local church. Very much so. Like, that's something that we're not willing to compromise on. So, like, even with shows and stuff, like, after a certain amount of Sundays that I'm gone, I just turn them down. You know, we are serious about the Sunday meeting. And our community group. You know, I have two guys from my church that, like, they are my guys. Like, they're who I go to first when I'm struggling, like, no matter how embarrassing it is or whatever, like, I go to them first, and they're able to give me guidance and, you know, and clarity of thought. The scripture says there's safety in a multitude of counselors. So, like, I have them, that's like the inner circle, and then the community group, which is a little bit bigger, and they're, you know, we're just very transparent people, and then the church at large. But so that's accountability. And then as far as spiritual regimen, man, people always try to reinvent the wheel, but it really is what it has been forever, which is scripture and prayer and communion with the Spirit and with Jesus. You know what I mean? So it's it's reading the Bible, bro. It's reading the Bible each day.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? It's reading the Bible each day, and it's praying. Now, I will say practically there are some ways that I've learned that kind of make it a lot easier for me. For a long time, I thought like prayer had to be like sitting quietly, like, or praying on your knees or whatever, all these like traditions that are good and there's nothing wrong with them. But I started to realize the way that my prayers were like kind of short, and I always wanted my prayers to be longer and kind of like more personal, you know. And I realized that when I'm talking to people, I walk around, like I pace. I'm a pacer. If I'm on the phone, even if I'm talking to you in person, I'm probably standing and I'm probably kind of like walking a little bit. So I started walking and praying. That was the cheat code for me. Like prayers be long, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think it's just like remembering that God is a person, not a human, but a person. He's not like an idea. He's a person. So you should relate to him how you are in relationship with people here on earth. You know what I mean? As far as how you relate, like how you speak, you know what I mean? So yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some things that you have yet to be able to do that you're like, man, if I could take my career over there and use it in that space, man, that would be awesome.
That's a good question. I feel really content right now in like, I just feel like I just need to keep going. Pretty much every like big door that y'all have seen me go through, that was not like part of the plan. It was just something that like God opened up, you know, like touring with Cray and Andy, had no idea that was on the horizon, like making music with KB, touring with him. Those were not the calculated moves. All my calculated moves are about like my music and how I market it. But these big kind of milestones, the Dub Award, like Wes from HGA, after we finished that song, he texted me like, we're going to get a Dub Award for this. And I was like, bro, what? Like, he was that confident. Like, he you know, and I was like, I had no like concept for that. You know what I mean? So I think I don't really have anything that I'm like, I just want to keep building what we've already got like excellently. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's nothing that I'm like chasing after. It's just building this festival, like building Indie Tribe, like continuing to go with my solo music. That's kind of what I'm wanting to do.
Come on, talk about it. Talk about this Smoke 23 festival. It's going down next month.
Yes, sir.
Preferably we can pull up. We try to figure it if we can work it in our schedule, but I know it's going to be crazy. Talk about the lineup and everything that you put into this.
Come on.
Yeah, man, this is the thing that I'm most excited about right now, which is Smoke 23 Festival. And yes, the smoke is still holy. It is only not called Holy Smoke because of legal reasons right now that may be resolved. But I just want everybody to know that, because people thought like, dang, are they turning it into a weed festival or something like that? And it's like, nah, bro. If we could call it Holy Smoke.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, I'm dead serious. Bro.
Oh my goodness.
But nah, if we could call it Holy Smoke right now, we would. So, and with that being said, let me go ahead and say this on air. Y'all can call it whatever you want. We can't call it that, but the fans,
we can call it.
Y'all can call it whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, this festival, man, it's been a huge blessing this last year. We've had so much like support from the community. Everything with us is relationship based. We don't have any major corporation, any label behind this. This is us. When I say us, I mean Indie Tribe and my wife. That's what I mean. I mean, Mowgli the Iceberg, John Keith, DJ Mike LV, Chelsea, my wife, and me. So there's nobody else involved in this. So it's all just been relationships. But yeah, we got, Lecrae, King's Kaleidoscope, Hovey, What Up RG, The New Respects, Ty Brazzle, of course, all like me, John Keith, Mowgli the Iceberg, DJ Mike LV, Indie Tribe as a separate act, Madison Ryan Ward, Charlie Powers, Jude Barclay. I know I'm going to miss some people, but I mean, this is a 2-day event in Nashville. Wow. It's the first time it's 2 days. We got 2 stages. We're doing a stage in the skate park, and then we're doing the main stage. We've got LED, haze. Like we're like, this is something that I feel has not been done on this level before, and we're doing it independently. With nobody can tell us how to program it or like what we have to say or not saying it. It's really the festival of the artists and of the people. We have an education wing called Indie Tribe Institute, which sole purpose is to equip independent artists with industry panels. So, you know, we're going to have a Grammy Award winning panel where it's all people who have won Grammys in various facets, kind of giving game to people, a music business panel, like a social media panel. These are all things to equip the artists. And that part of the festival is completely free. It's just an RSVP because we really are independent artists first. Like, we want to equip that. We have an outdoor part that's called the Block Party that is focused on the community that we're embedded in. So we're in Nashville. So it's going to be local Nashville vendors, local Nashville DJ, food, all of that. And that's also free and open to the public because we don't want to just, like a lot of these festivals do, just embed in a city and then it has nothing to do with the city. Like, they forget about the city that's actually allowing them to do this. Yeah, man. So, and we're paying all our artists. There's not an artist on the roster who is not getting paid unless they said, I don't want to be paid. Like, they told us that, you know, there's one artist who did that, but other than that, everybody is getting paid something. And each year our goal is to pay more than we did the year before. We've done that for the last 3 years. So, yeah.
Speak to that a little bit more, because
I
know a lot of people, we talk about it all the time on here on the business side of it, of us. Not only one, we have to continue to show analytics to show that people are coming to these events, people are purchasing tickets, but also too as well, you guys are artists, we are DJs, you got producers. Like, this is work. It's work that takes to put into making this music, performing this music. It's a job. So speak to the importance of, why did you feel it was important for you to give an honorarium or pay them a service fee for performing, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 15 minutes?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm also an artist, you know, and I think that's one of the benefits of it being a festival that is owned and operated by artists, is that I've played a lot of festivals. I played a lot of festivals this year, and I know how it feels to be an independent artist at a festival without, you know, some label behind you, and without like selling millions of records or whatever. And we want to kind of be the safe haven for artists and the antithesis of that. So one thing that, and this is like a Christian music industry problem, is that Christians, I don't want to say Christians, but like, let's say in the Christian music industry, like, and the fans of Christian music, there's been this feedback loop of devaluing Christian art. So there was one point in time where Christians in the world were the master artists. When you look at painting, you look at sculptures, you look at classical music, those are all Christians. You know what I mean? And now it's like, look, I'm just going to say it. You have stuff like Winter Jam, where you have these incredible artists, like the top of the genre in Christian music, and people are paying $10 a ticket to see them. So you're communicating. You got to understand, when you set a price for something, you are communicating something to the fan. So you're communicating to that fan, this music is not that big a deal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could just pay $10 and come in and see it. That's a communication that's happening. And then there's this feedback loop of where you see it in the comments and stuff. Christians just, they don't see what we do as like a job, as like laboring. They're just like, oh, that's like your little ministry that you do or whatever. Yeah. And I got a real job. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's like, and then complain about the music. So then complain about the quality of the music, or complain that it's not as good. It's corny. It's not as good as the mainstream. And it's like, you know, that takes a lot of money to bring stuff to the same quality as the mainstream. Well, the mainstream, you're paying $350 to see Drake by himself, and you're paying $10 to see the biggest Christian artists in the game. So all that being said, our prices, we aim to actually bring festival culture into Christian music. So our prices are correct, bro. It's a 2-day festival. You gotta pay $100 for that, bro.
There we go.
That's the only way that we're going to be able to pay the artist. So it's like, who do you blame on something like Winter Jam for the artist not being paid? Do you blame Winter Jam or do you blame the fans? Because at $10 a ticket, not everybody can be paid. But if Winter Jam charged you $100, you'd be like, oh, they're being greedy. So it's like, look, from the ground level, we charge what we charge, so we don't even attract people who don't understand what we're trying to build. And that's how everybody's going to get paid, because you got to pay the right price. You see what I'm saying?
I love it.
We do. Drop the mic. That's the drop the mic moment right there. And you listen, I'm so grateful the listeners heard it from Dilly himself, not us. Because, you know, we get emails and text messages all the time, Dilly. We've been saying this, and people think, you know, whatever. I say, listen, you can't turn your lights on in your house without paying for the bill. I don't know why y'all think stuff is free. Ain't nothing like free. What are you talking about? No,
right.
So I appreciate you sharing that. Listen, Dylan, we got to get you out of here, man. Tell the people how they connect with you, follow you on all your social media platforms, as well as introduce your latest single.
Yes, sir. So everybody can follow me at nobigdyl, nobigdyl, on all socials. I think all socials is that. If it's not that, you could just type in No Big Deal on Google and all the stuff will come up. Also dilly.com, or you could do nobigdyl.com as well for all my stuff. For the festival, tickets are at indietribe.us. So INDIE tribe.us. That's where the tickets are. Mm-hmm.
Man, y'all better show up.
Come on. Show up and please introduce your latest single.
Wait, which one we doing? I got a bunch of singles out. Which one we doing?
Listen, whatever you tell us, we're going to play. Whatever you say, we're going to play.
You know what? This one I'm going to do. So just dropped the latest Indie Tribe single called Sliding. And that's what I want y'all to drop. But this joint, I love this song, bro. And I actually think y'all are going to love it too. So
we'll be back with closing thoughts. Keep it locked. You tuned into The Fixx.
And The Fixx is in.